Ramadan comes as Israel has already carried out hundreds of counter-terrorism raids in the Palestinian Arab cities of Nablus and Jenin over the last year.
There are strong forces on various sides that are trying to escalate the situation and to bring about a real rupture in the fabric of life here.
From a security position on Mount Ebal overlooking Nablus, former IDF spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus says the situation is extremely tense.
There's various Palestinian factions and organizations that are constantly enhancing their amount of attacks and the terrorist activity that they do. There's a very weak and corrupt Palestinian Authority that isn't stopping that from happening. There are external factors, Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza and Iran, that are trying to influence the situation in Judea and Samaria and Jerusalem in order to bring about violence.
Conricus says stabilizing the situation on the ground can help prevent the violence that often happens during Ramadan.
Historically speaking, during Ramadan, Israeli security forces try to do the least necessary in order to maintain security and thwart terror and defend Israel, but without enhancing operations in such a way that could be interpreted or used by Palestinians as an excuse to basically start attacks.
Jenin Governor Akram Rajoub blames Israel for trouble in his city.
Regardless of what the Israelis are promoting, that there are gunmen and organizations, the citizens in Jenin are being killed in front of their house and in their streets, and they're not being killed anywhere else.
Rajoub told visiting journalists that although Israel has more firepower than his people, they still have the right to defend themselves.
This is the reality of Jenin. Regardless of what the Israeli media and security promote, our people live under occupation, and they have the right to resist the occupation in all its forms. The lands of 67 are the lands of the occupied Palestinian state.
Israel has controlled biblical Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank, since the end of the 1967 Six-Day War. Palestinians still claim the area as their own. Israeli Reserve Brigadier General Amir Avivi counters that Jewish communities or settlements in the West Bank help stabilize the area.
Now, if you take the Jewish communities, Israeli Defense Forces lose control. If the IDF loses control, the Palestinian Authority loses control.
As part of the 2005 disengagement, Israel removed 4 Jewish communities from the northern West Bank.
Once we took the northern towns out, the situation completely deteriorated here, and not only for Israel, but also for the Palestinian authorities. They lost control.
Conricus says Israel's immediate strategy is to stop terrorism before it happens.
Israel does it by using very specific and real-time intelligence generated by security organizations, and goes and tries to apprehend terrorists in their beds or in their homes or their hideouts before they're able to do attacks, trying to distinguish between civilians and those who are up for no good, violent activity, terrorists, etc., and trying to allow Palestinian civilians to go on with their lives as much as possible.
Conricus says it's clear that had the army not stepped up its combat pace, there would have been an exponential increase in terror attacks against Israelis. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Mount Ebal and Jenin.